Unity, oneness of minds, feelings as among a number of persons, harmony, concord, and agreements. Hello, I'm Ernest Lowery. Welcome to the podcast Unity, a place where you can come together and understand what's happening in your community. What does the community want? It wants great schools, it wants to be self-sustaining, and it wants to take crime out the neighborhoods. Come join us at Podcast Unity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ernest Lowery, Podcast Unity. I'm glad you're here with us today, and we have an exciting guest. Matter of fact, it's one of my long time friends, Miss Sherry Bailey, who is the founder of Juneteenth VA that's based out of Portsmouth. So I want to say, Miss Sherry Bailey, it's been a long time coming. So kind of tell me what's going on with yourself and Juneteenth.
Well, first of all, I want you to thank you for inviting me. This is good to be here and good to see this happening. But what's happening is that Juneteenth became a federal holiday in 2021, and this was after over 20 years of pushing, and then suddenly, within like 30 hours,
yes,
we became a federal holiday. And so that's been really exciting. And so for Juneteenth VA, Juneteenth Virginia, this will be our 25th year that we
Great.
will be celebrating Juneteenth here in Hampton Roads, Tidewater Hampton Roads, rather. And it's really quite amazing because when we started, it was June who?
Yes.
June what?
Absolutely.
Right? So
Yeah.
you know, and we came through the fire together in terms of just understanding the importance of Juneteenth, and this is really quite a sweet victory just to be this federal holiday and to be able to have this holiday understood on a larger level.
Right. Well, you mentioned, kiddingly about in 30 hours all this happened.
Yeah.
But we've had people like Doc Myers and now Steve Williams,
Right.
and Dee Evans and Oprah out there.
It's Opal, yes.
Miss Oprah out there walking and disseminating the information about
Right.
Juneteenth.
Right.
And getting all these other different states involved with what we're doing.
Right.
And we've been a part of that fight for a long while as well.
Indeed.
And I just want to let you know that I appreciate the work that you've done over the years in regards to Juneteenth and other things that you've done that led up to that, because we've all been part of this fight, and rightly so, because for me, through you, it was important to me. You made me realize more about Juneteenth than I had known in the past. So tell me some things that's going on with Juneteenth on your side of the fence.
I have to share a quick story about how, when it did become a federal holiday, what happened. That on the 17th, that Wednesday, President signed the executive order. On that
For the
Thursday.
state?
For
The president.
The
I
president.
thought we were talking about the governor.
Right. He signed. No, the Governor Kane did made Juneteenth a state holiday in
Right.
2007.
Right.
So this was last year when it became a federal holiday, and so the president signed the paperwork on that Thursday, and I had ordered a national flag from the national organization, and I missed it when it came delivered to my house on that Thursday. So, but no problem. I had my ticket. All I had to do is go pick it up on next day at Friday. The event was on Saturday. We're in good shape. I get to the post office on that Friday, and it's closed because of the Juneteenth holiday.
Yes. How ironic.
Can't make it up, right?
Yes, right.
So, but that's kind of, what's been, for me, the power of Juneteenth is that no matter what the situation, it's always about the meaning of the holiday and making sure people understand why it is important to celebrate the end of slavery in America, why it is important to know what the history of this is in terms of how slavery started in America and how it ultimately ended. And that's very much a Virginia story. That national history is our local history. And so we focused a lot on that local history in terms of helping inform people about, the slavery narrative. So I call it reframing history. And for instance, we teach that it is the war against slavery, WAS, that we want to kind of familiarize folks with. The war against slavery started in 1831 with the Nat Turner insurrection and went for 45 years to 1877, which was represented by the pullout of federal troops from the South, which allowed for the rise of Jim Crow and the KKK. So 1831 to 1840 to 1877, you have this kind of parade of incidents that include the 1857 Dred Scott decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. It includes John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859. And all of the events that are between 1831 to 1877 that tell the story, the narrative of how slavery evolved, how it was fought against, and how ultimately we are now living with the legacy of slavery. But the details of it are part of that block of time between 1831 to 1877. And so it's important for Juneteenth Virginia to represent that history and to make sure that people know that history. And so a big part of the work that we do is about taking these incidents and these individuals and dramatizing them. So theater arts is the kind of tool used to be able to help people understand this history. So that's what we'll be doing. And we'll be featuring the play Abolitionist Museum, which, as you were there many years ago, when we were doing the play out in Suffolk, someone from the audience interrupted with, well, first let me tell you what the play is. Basically, it features 8 historical figures who are wax figures in a museum. The museum curator brings in a Confederate flag, and these 8 historical figures debate whether or not to burn that flag. And these 8 historical figures include Abe Lincoln, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, John Brown, and Nat Turner. So we're doing the play, and then suddenly we hear a voice shout, "Nat Turner killed my family." And
my daddy.
Did she say daddy?
I think she said daddy, but that's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought she said that, but she definitely. We were like, "Who said that? What's going on?" Turned out to be a descendant of one of the victims of the Nat Turner insurrection, 70-something-year-old Rose Nichols. And we asked her to, hold that thought, and we would have that conversation after the performance, and that's exactly what happened. Also in the audience that day, we had members of the Sons of the Confederacy. And I would say, Ernest, that was probably one of the best post-show conversations that I could have ever hoped for, because we had people coming from radically different perspectives able to have a civilized conversation. And that's the goal, is to get people who are on the different sides to be able to have conversation. And ultimately, that's going to be what leads to the healing from the legacy of slavery. Our mission is to help America heal from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame.
Right. Now, along with that, and I'm just going to say critical race theory, and when I say that, I know people are already confused, right? So, but we know the history books need to be changed, because I remember when they had the 400-year anniversary over in Jamestown, I was there, and Jamestown kind of made the claim that the first 20 and odd came there, but we know it came to Fort Monroe.
Right.
You know, so
they ultimately went to Jamestown.
Right, ultimately, yes.
But
yes.
Initially they came ashore at Fort Monroe, and Fort Monroe has 2 amazing bookends of history that recommended for further kind of elevation in terms of national understanding. We had that 1619 arrival of those 20 and odd Negroes from Angola, and then that's almost 250 years later, in May of 1861, you had the contraband escape, which was 3 men were working in Norfolk for their owner, and the war had broken out in the month, about 6 weeks before, at Fort Sumter in April of 1861. And these brothers saw a boat, and they said, "We're going to Fort Monroe." And they took that rowboat, probably couldn't even swim, but they rowed across the Chesapeake Bay. They got to Fort Monroe, where they went before the general in charge of Benjamin Butler and demanded asylum. They may not have used that word, but that's what they were looking for. And ultimately, that's what happened. Butler put them on the federal payroll, which put them on the path to citizenship. And within days, that was May 23rd. By June 8th, you had hundreds of folks showing up saying, we want asylum, we want to, our freedom. And Fort Monroe became the place where chattel slavery started to end right then and there. Amazing history. So you have, again, 1619, and then you have 1831, these two bookends of history that are, right here, under our feet here. So I feel that, not only is it a responsibility, but it's a wonderful opportunity.
Right.
You
I know a couple of years ago, before Dr. Myers passed, they had some people from Angola that came over to Fort Monroe, and I was there, and I filmed a little bit of that as well. And it was a wonderful occasion. They had dancers, and it threw our ashes out in the ocean for the ancestors. It was a very powerful moment, and it's one of the things that touched me. And I know I miss Dr. Myers because he's the one who asked me. Well, he demanded that I get a flag. You need a Juneteenth flag, right? I said, yes, sir. I'm going to get it because I respect the brother and and all that kind of good stuff. But June 19th, 18th, 19th, 17th, what are you guys doing?
What are we doing? We are going to be in the city of Portsmouth, which is our sponsor, a major sponsor, which has been a really wonderful partnership. And we're going to kick off things on that Friday, June 17th, with a meet and greet, party, basically, for the volunteers, for the staff, and for friends and family, and, guests of the festival weekend. That's going to be that Friday evening at the book club, which is located in downtown Portsmouth. Please go to our website and at www.juneteenthva.org, and all the information will be up there. Then on Saturday, we will be doing, the outdoor festival. We've got the wonderful Virginia Children's Museum that is located in the city of Portsmouth. So we've got this wonderful children's village that is going to be laid out, not only for children, but for, those young at heart, because we really want to emphasize that, Juneteenth and what it represents is everything, our culture, our past, our present, and our future. So that's going to be Saturday. We'll be doing, the usual kind of festival things, as well as a performance of Abolitionist Museum. We're going to have that right there in the space where there used to be a Confederate monument, but it was torn down by the citizens, and now we need to kind of repurpose it in terms of like how that space is used. So we'll be doing that, and the big part of the play is that at the end of the play, we ask the audience, what would your vote be, to burn or not to burn this Confederate flag? And again, the goal being to have people who have different perspectives being able to have conversation. So the play is kind of like the heart of that Saturday in terms of what we want people to walk away with in terms of having, experienced the festival. And we will have, representation from Native Americans, dancers, drummers, just kind of all of the kind of cultural attributes of, not only from this country, but from other countries. We have a designer who is from Senegal, who will be bringing in programming that will take us back to the motherland in terms of, understanding the culture and everything. So we know that for many, many years, whenever the history of enslavement is talked about, it's talked about, you have really sad-looking black folks dressed up in rags. And, it's more than that by a long shot in terms of how we were proactive in getting freedom, ending slavery. We were not passively waiting for the great emancipator to free us, but ultimately working constantly. Hampton Roads was a major stop on the Underground Railroad because of the waterways.
Okay, I tell you what, Ms. Sherry Bailey, hold that thought, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back in just a moment. This is Ernest Lowery with the Unity Podcast, and we'll be right back.
words, journal and guide.
Okay, welcome back. Again, my host is Sherry Bailey from Juneteenth VA, and we're going to continue our conversation about Juneteenth. And as they say with the National Juneteenth, all things Juneteenth. Yes.
And if you've never experienced a Saturday afternoon call with the National Juneteenth Committee, you owe yourself that.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, right? I think I was talking about the Underground Railroad. And that is, it was, as they say, one of the busiest in the country, because people who were being taken further south, they were taken to Richmond, and they knew if they didn't jump off at Richmond, they were going to go further south, and it would be much harder to pursue freedom. So Richmond was a major jumping off point. They would leave out of Richmond, come this way, and there was not only just the waterways, but the Great Dismal Swamp. So we have all of this incredible, geography that is pretty much unexplored. And so just like we go around and we see the signs for the Civil War trails, we should also be seeing signs for the Underground Railroad routes there. And that is one of the long-term goals of Juneteenth VA, is to see that happen. And another major project would be to see Fort Monroe put into service as a think tank. A lot of times things happen around the country, and they get headlines for a couple of days and then slip through the cracks, never to be examined again. And we need to be able to have a place where we can bring together folks who have been impacted, and intellectuals and policymakers, and make that a place where policy about how we deal with the legacy of slavery gets dealt with. So it is not just the weekend of Juneteenth that we are busy. It's a year-round effort in terms of these various projects and things that we want to do. And we also go into the schools with the plays. And now that it is a federal holiday, we have more exposure, and looking forward to being able to do some touring with what we're doing.
Right. Well, I'm glad you explained those things to me, and I've always admired you for your knowledge about the history part of Juneteenth. And since it's been a holiday, there's been a plethora of people that come around and getting involved with Juneteenth. And like we say, there's a Juneteenth, 757 Freedom Fest, that's Juneteenth. They're a 501c3, much like what I have, Chesapeake Juneteenth Foundation, Inc., which is also a 501c3. And some of the things that we have going on, we're going to do a 2-day festival for the most part. And I have some outstanding guests that's going to be there at our program. Notably, Dr. E. Curtis Alexander, who is an authority on Black history and U.S. Colored troops, because he's a direct descendant himself. And I've used him several times before, but more particularly this year, excuse me, because of the following the charter of the National Juneteenth, what we both are part of, that theme is to honor our U.S. colored troops, and we want to do that, and there's no better person to do that than Dr. E. Curtis Alexander. Along with him, we're going to have Brother Ken Wright, who is a Buffalo rider, and he's going to be talking about the Buffalo Soldiers a little bit and what role they played, because the Buffalo Riders came after the U.S. colored troops,
right,
and all that kind of good stuff. So, and then we're going to have Eric Shepard, who will be talking about the Dismal Swamp and the Underground Railroad. You mentioned that, so he's going to kind of dive into that whole theory of what happened during that particular time. And we're going to, like yourself, we're going to have dancers,
right,
other people, Chariots of Fire that's going to be out there doing the dance. And it's going to be hosted by our funny man, Herman Hurston.
Right.
So we're going to have just a grand time.
It sounds wonderful.
And it's going to be something, and hopefully that we'll have this live stream so that other people can see what we're trying to do. And one of the things, I'm glad we're having this podcast together because rumor has it that, we don't get along in the sense that, because you're doing Juneteenth here and I'm doing Juneteenth there and there's a conflict. But, just want to put that to rest.
Please, let's put that to rest. Please. I know it was just always baffle me when people come up and go, guess what? Ernest is doing the Juneteenth Festival. Well, the July 4th is celebrated, by everyone. The cities do it, and then privately people celebrate, and that's what Juneteenth should be.
Right.
It is, not restricted to like one group or anything of that nature. So I'm excited to see all that's happening in terms of these Juneteenth events.
Right.
This is what the prediction was, and
Yes,
it has come true.
absolutely. Now, I didn't mention it, but Sunday, Father's Day weekend, per the National Juneteenth, they're talking about doing a barbecue cook-off.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and so I got a couple of people lined up that think they're the best at what they do with their barbecue. We're gonna do that kind of thing, and
Right.
It's gonna be out here at the Chesapeake Conference Center Friday and Saturday, and I don't know what you guys' schedule is, but you're welcome to come out if
Appreciate
you guys
that. Appreciate that.
for Sunday, and we're gonna have a grand time. So. So in closing, is there anything in particular that's on your mind that you want to talk about in regard to Juneteenth?
Well,
Or anything? Yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about briefly the Juneteenth Declaration of Independence.
The reading, or what do you mean?
Well, what I've done is taken the original document from 1776 and welded it together with what our issues are today. So in 1776, it was, King George did this, and this. And in 2022, the American systemic racism is one of the issues that we deal with. So you need to read it in order to understand what it's all about. And we're going to debut that July 4th, with Frederick Douglass, who famously asked the question, why should I, a slave, celebrate the 4th of July?
Yeah, what does the 4th of July mean?
Exactly,
Yes, right.
exactly. And so we wanted to emphasize the Declaration of Independence, particularly in the wake of January 6th. In terms of like who we are as a nation is being questioned and threatened at this point. And Juneteenth has an important role to play in terms of making sure that democracy is respected and understood and utilized in this country. To just briefly talk about what happened in Brunswick, Georgia, the ultimate conviction of those 3 men who killed Ahmaud Arbery was basically Juneteenth driven in terms of the young woman who runs the Juneteenth chapter down there, Tatiana Cook. When that video came out and they sat on it for 2 months, almost 3 months, it was only with the pushing of the family, which she was there as a strong support in helping them get through this, that ultimately got that videotape released to the public, to the authorities.
Right.
And so I feel like that's the work that Juneteenth can do all over the country, in terms of we're there to be able to be a community service, and that is, I think, a tribute to all the people, Ms. Opal, Doc Myers, in terms of the work that they did, understanding over 30 years ago the importance of Juneteenth. So I want to just kind of like encourage people to truly look it up and understand what it is, and you too can have your own Juneteenth event, in your backyard or in your city park, but you understand what Juneteenth is and understand why it's important for us.
Okay, Sherry, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it very much. And again, I know
Thank
that our website is
JuneteenthVA.org.
.org? Okay, right. Did it change?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, and also for Chesapeake Juneteenth Foundation, you can go to ChesapeakeJuneteenth.com and look at our stuff and our information, and we're looking forward to seeing you again soon. This is Ernest Lowery with my special guest, Sherry Bailey from Juneteenth VA. Thank you again for joining Ernest Lowery Podcast Unity. Appreciate it. Have a good day. See us again.